I tell people our mantra is you do not have a student loan problem. You have a streams of income problem. You would not talk to me about a monthly student loan problem if you had that amount extra coming in.
Peace, family. Will Roundtree here on the Full-Time CEO podcast, the shit they don't tell you, where I get to interview some very influential individuals, some businessmen, businesswomen, entrepreneurs, influencers, moguls, and business people. Now, today I have a very special guest. And as you guys know, all my guests are extremely special. But this particular individual that I have today, first of all, I almost felt like I was chasing down the president, like getting in touch with her. Like I had to go through several layers of security. I had to get a government clearance. I had to do a couple things. So this interview is definitely special that I was able to lock her down. And so a couple things, I definitely want to say about Sonia is that I had an opportunity to just kind of watch her blossom into, this just incredible individual on and offline. Because, it's certain people when you meet them and you see them online and then you meet them offline, you're like, I don't know. But this person has definitely been the same, whether it was online or offline. I mean, she gives, what she's been able to create of hers so selfishly to people. I mean, her whole business model was tied to helping people, which is no coincidence to why she's been blessed beyond measures. But Sonia Lewis is the CEO of an award-winning business. First of all, to even have a business that's award-winning, I mean, that says it all. I think she's probably one of the first businesses that got a Grammy. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. The Student Loan Doctor, LLC, Sonia is considered the people's expert in all matters related to student loan debt repayment. Has over 9 years in this industry. I mean, she's helped tens of thousands of people. Everything from getting student loan debt forgiven to getting it restructured to even just understanding something that nobody in the world, including Sally Mae, can explain except Sonia Lewis. So without further ado, I want to introduce my good friend, my sister. I'm gonna call her my business partner because we have done some business together. I mean, she's been on everything, you name it. Forbes. I mean, she's been on everything. So I'll let her brag on herself. So I want to introduce to you guys Sonia Lewis of the Student Loan Doctor. How you doing today, Sonia?
Thank you, Will, for having me. I gotta take you everywhere I go. That's a good introduction. I'm like, did we get that recorded? That's good.
It's definitely recorded. But see, here's the thing. Like, it's easy to edify somebody who's actually doing their thing. It's easy to edify somebody who's the shit, for lack of better words. And so
you can cuss on here, Will?
Absolutely. The podcast is called The Shit They Don't Tell You. So
I know I put stars in my head when I saw it, but it's fine. It's good.
Yeah. So it's easy to brag on somebody who's actually out here doing their thing. And so I'm just so proud of you, Sonia, because I'm pretty sure you had every obstacle thrown in front of you, from business to personal to family and friends and relationships, like all of the things that everybody deals with. None of us are, special when it comes to being void of those obstacles. But the fact that you kept pressing on in an industry that is not favorable at all times, at wanting to be helpful of the people that you're going out there helping. So for those who may have been under a rock or new to planet Earth, who is Sonia Lewis?
Oh, that's a great question. That question is, that answer, is evolving. And I'm probably going to answer today differently than I would answer tomorrow. Literally, I am in the middle of an evolution, and I feel like it's being publicized and televised via Instagram. When we first met each other, Will, one, I have to give you your flowers. You were one of my first business partner friends in this industry, and I have to say thank you. And for that, I'm always loyal to you, because you didn't have to give me an opportunity, or you could have been like, who is this girl? What is she doing? And you and I run so parallel into a lot of the things that we teach our audience. Definitely. And one of the things I wanted to do early on when working with you was just find a way to add value to your clients. And, you started sending more. And to be honest, I think, just not going into too much detail, before I really got into relationship with you, I was already serving your clients. Remember how we put that two and two together?
Absolutely.
I'm like, oh, this is easy, you know. Let's make this happen in real life.
Definitely.
And so I'm just grateful that you've been consistent. You've been the same person. So who am I? I'm from Philly. Although I have definitely picked up in a matter of weeks and moved all the way to Miami. And it seems a little impulsive if you ask my friends or family members, but the move to Miami had been planned for over a year. The pandemic occurred and then it didn't happen. But for my birthday, I treated myself to like an Airbnb out here. And I was like, it's money here. It's energy here. It's new relationships here. And when I tell you, Will, I had a 4-bedroom, 3-bath back in Philly. I loved and adored it. I mean, I just set it up to look like a Queen's palace. I just literally packed it up and gave majority of the stuff away.
Wow.
And I just restarted. Praise God, I'm just able to pick up and restart.
Definitely.
And I refurnished this whole one here in Miami. So it's very hilarious to me in hindsight. Came out here, I met some new friends. I bought a Lamborghini. Like
we saw that. We saw that.
Oh, the little lamb chop, I tell you. I'm in my best life season, and I'm in a new season. That's been very interesting for me because as I grow and I elevate and I'm helping more people and I'm making a lot more money, relationships are changing, opportunities are changing, good, bad, and different. And this is all, you know, I tell you, Will, if there could be somebody that could honestly sell an ebook or a class on the shit to expect as you become more successful, I would be the first in line to buy it. Right. Because the success I had when we were getting to know each other to a year ago to today, this is different levels. Yeah. And each level, of course, is a new devil, whether that could be personal or professional. But I know that there are more levels to come. So part of me, Will, is a little scared to even, you know, dream sometimes. And I know I'm just being really transparent for anybody that's listening, because I know
we appreciate that.
Yeah, the things that I'm thinking of and dreaming of, they're going to happen. That's just how my life is. Like if I put my mind to it, it happens. But I'm like, well, damn, can I get a preview, a little synopsis of what's going to come with it? Before I really pray for that? Like, you know, I don't know. But anyway, born and raised in Philly, here in Miami. I'm CEO of the brand, The Student Loan Doctor. But I also have a brand called SLD University. And the crazy thing is when the pandemic hit, and student loans were put on hiatus, as a leader, the first thought I had was not of myself. I thought of my team, Will, and I know you can relate to this. I'm like, absolutely. I am not about to lay these people off. I don't even know if this is real and how long it's going to be here. And talking about, you know, COVID-19, which is very real. But, you know, when it first came out, I'm like, this is a bad cold. Are they exaggerating? You know, and so when I realized that never before in history did they ever push student loan payments out the equation, I said, oh, this shit real. Right. So, I mean, that was my wake-up call, to be honest. And I had a state of emergency meeting with my team, and I told them, I said, I'm declaring a decree over this business. There is no pandemic in this business. And I really am so grateful that God came alongside me with that vision, because I was able to keep my team employed and keep them, you know, in good spirits, because their jobs, some of them are part-time with me, their jobs were laying them off and cutting their hours, but we didn't have this experience. And it really took for me to be, and this is for any business owner listening, because you just never know when a pandemic could occur in your business. You have to stay flexible and tap into the ingenuity that made you that bomb CEO in the first place. And so for me, I'm a teacher at heart. That's what my certifications and my degrees lie. So I said, okay, it's a pandemic. Okay. Right. Well, you know what I'm about to do? I'm about to teach people about their student loans. I'm going to teach them. I think I did like a superficial light version of a credit ebook. The credit ebook, and you can relate to this, the credit ebook made me close to $1 million. My credit ebook, well, I must put it on record, ain't nowhere near your credit ebook. I never seen yours, but I know you the GOAT. All I did, that. You know, I wrote the credit ebook from the standpoint of what I did to just improve mine. Right. And I'm like, well, maybe this will help you. And I think it's because of how I delivered it. It just popped so well, right? Oh, and I did ride off of Megan Thee Stallion. You know, it's one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. when she put that song
Hence the
out there,
title. I could remember the title of
Savage.
yep, I
Yes. Like
remember.
you better sing that song. Every time she sung that song on the radio, I'm telling you, I just felt like sales was coming in. Oh, I couldn't wait to that. I did not want that song to leave the #1 chart. Because you could not listen to that song anymore after the credit challenge that we put out there and think to yourself, am I being savage? Am I being bougie?
Right.
Or am I rich? So anyway, things have been good. So I had to diversify into the ebook space, into the course space, the curriculum space. And I had to do that because I was not going to let my team down. It wasn't even about it being my biggest year ever in money, prior to this past year. It was about, I don't want to, as a leader, have to lay off anyone. That's been always, it is still always my worst fear. So I am ever changing. I'm becoming, I would say, more assertive. I feel like I've got to reintroduce myself, Will, to a lot of people.
Right.
Because I'm either really, really sweet or I'm like a bitch. I'm like, you've never said to see the other side of me, but I'm finding a healthy balance. I'm really working on myself to be assertive before having to go to bitch level. And I think for women that are listening, particularly Black women in business, nobody wants to be a bitch, because that's what we're painted as anyway. So I feel like my whole life been really trying to be anti-bitch. And then it hit me one day, like, no, you just need to find a place to be assertive. You need to find a safe space to be able to do that and still get your goals met, because the stakes are now higher, the payroll is now higher, and the opportunities are greater. I've got to be more assertive and not worry about what somebody may think or feel. So any case, again, you asked me this question, next month is probably going to change again.
No, absolutely. And we appreciate the transparency, but I do want to touch on that a little bit because, I can honestly say that a lot of my partners, meaning like people who I've developed relationships with the most that are business owners, have been women. It seems like I work well with a lot of women-owned businesses. And one, because a lot of the businesses that you all are in align with my industry. And so we've just been able to kind of, build this synergy together. And so with that being said, having to be more assertive, how have those things maybe been obstacle or roadblocks for you in the beginning? Because I'm sure just business as a whole sometimes can be male dominated. I'm sure people either tried to take advantage of you or they saw the smile and thought that, oh, this is going to be easy, or whatever the case may be. How have some of those challenges in the earlier part of your career maybe, shaped who Sonia is today?
Well, before I go to challenges, I must say this. I intentionally, as a woman, use my femininity to get through the door.
Hey,
you got to do what you got to do. I used it on a few people, and not in a way in which I ever was inappropriate or flirted with you. One thing that I always appreciate about our relationship is it was always clean cut. And also, Will, let's just keep it a bean. I physically have changed in my looks from when you met me. Now, you got to give my motherfucking flowers now. See, when we met each other, Will.
No, hey, that's why I said the beautiful Sonia Lewis.
I look like a little teddy bear, don't let this move for you. Now, I was like a little teddy bear and I got these cheeks and I'm like, hi, and I know how to lean into that. And then something happened a few years ago. A few years ago, my body started changing intentionally, obviously. Some things I went through and now I got some curves, some ass, there's a lot going on, so just a waistline. And I noticed that my relationships started changing.
They change,
with men. I used to be like, you still say, hey, queen, but people used to say, hey, queen, there's no more queens. Queens is going, this is going, I just want to know when they could come back, So I'm getting all type of new messages. And it's from people I was in business with. And I'm like, this gonna put these boundary lines. So me becoming assertive also where I go there, because some of that is because of that. I had to learn, like, okay, so we ain't been on no type time where you thought you could do X, Y, Z with me. So we're not going to start that. So I had to become more assertive. And I think also too, people were expecting me in the years to come recently people were expecting me to be more assertive because the lifestyle I was starting to display that I'm living, there's going to be a perception about that. Like,
Yes.
oh, she don't play. She don't, by me showing my lifestyle of transitioning to Miami, or me getting on private jets, or me buying the Lamborghini, it's a certain assumption that goes with that type of woman. So to your point, I think when people meet me and get to know me, that I am really silly, or I'm really, I let that side show once I'm comfortable. It's
Right.
like, oh, she's still, she's really in this. Somebody asked a good friend of mine the other day, is Sonia still really funny? And I'm like, well, what the Lamborghini got to do with being funny? But people in their mind have probably
perception,
like, oh, she's probably like strict, or she's changing. And I will say this, I think as a woman, it's important to understand, your character and your value is going to play a large part of how far you go. It's easier to get through the door, fucking your way to success. If I was that girl, there are a lot of girls that are probably a lot ahead of me further. I know you was fucking, like, matter of fact, I found out that someone was comfortable enough to tell me. But I had always prayed, to be really honest with you. I didn't want to be that girl. I'm like, well, success with this price tag means I got to do X, Y, and Z. Now I don't want to be that girl. Like, you just keep me right here, Lord. And I'm just so grateful that the male relationships I've had, like with you, Nehemiah Davis, like people like that, I didn't have to do those things with. I'm really, really grateful. Now, let me say this. What happens is I do feel like we are coming into a different era of entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship, it looks sexy, Will.
It does.
Looks real
sexy. That's the new, that's the new.
And I feel like I'm even falling into it. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm like, that's a little sexy there, right? Is that a nipple show? Like, I had to look at my own stuff the other day. I'm like, I didn't be there. And because then my audience is changing to more men, and I'm like, are more men coming? Because I'm looking different. Who knows? So I think that as a woman coming into entrepreneurship, you have to be careful. You do want to feel good about yourself. You do want to be bossy. You do want to be sexy. But sometimes too sexy can get you the wrong results. And you get these false friendships, I'll call them, that people want to help you.
Right.
And then now you don't deliver on that, and then you get outcasted, or you do deliver and then the promises aren't fulfilled. And I've been seeing that behind closed doors happen more, unfortunately, than I feel like it was when I started out in entrepreneurship. So it's pretty interesting, but assertive is necessary because I am a force to be reckoned with. I do know my shit. I am credential. And so, no, I don't got to do X, Y, and Z to get X, Y, and Z. And so I have to kind of put that law down so that we can have that understanding with each other.
No, absolutely. And you definitely, even on how you carry yourself on your lives, you even show a sense of assertiveness, even when it comes to your call of action. Like you let your audience know, like, look, nothing is magical. Nothing magical is going to happen unless you don't make it happen. And so, and speaking of student loans and your industry and your business model, what's going on with the student loan debt? Everybody thought they was going to forgive most of it. People went out spending money because the student loans was going, like, what's going on in the industry?
So I think, depending on when you air this podcast, I think that student loans are going to be postponed until 2023 because they need to get through the midterm elections. And so now you hear the Department of Secretary like, Biden's saying that there might be pause until 2023. It's a hardship with these gas prices. It's like, it's always something pushing the student loan payment back. Now I'm all for the people having a delayed student loan payment because, we're teaching them to get on top of their principal. And, however, at this point, it's kind of theatrical. Like, we're going to forget shit at this point now. You're showing that the economy is doing just fine without a student loan payment. Like, literally, you're showing that. And then you're showing that there are other initiatives that you deem more important than fulfilling the campaign promise. So I think that right now what we're seeing is they're going to ride it out until at least the midterm election. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some small spurt of some type of forgiveness. They did do, when I say they, the Biden administration did do a really good cleanup job with the public service loan forgiveness program more recently. And kudos to them because it was a mess when it was created with Obama. And that's not his fault. It wasn't the right pieces in place. But we are seeing so many people having great success at getting their loans forgiven. I'm actually really proud that my team and I are part of people getting that done. that are working with us, because the loan forgiveness program has been a failure for many years, and it's finally cashing out and catching up to people. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know they even just recently had an initiative where they're supposed to be removing most medical debt from credit
Yes,
reports. And I know that's bit like student loans and medical debt is what kills credit
you know that.
reports,
Yeah.
kills credit reports. And so let me ask you probably more of a personal question. When they did the student loan, pushing the payments back or whatever terminology they called it, did that initially affect your business model? And if you wasn't one who understood how to pivot and go digital and do all
Yes.
of these things, how could that have impacted you long term?
So it didn't affect the business model at first, because we still had clients in the pipeline. And remember, they also gave a waiver that if you were in default, you could get on this plan. And so we were running it up, so to speak, with helping people get on a plan that are in default.
Right.
It's a lot of motherfuckers in default. I mean,
Trust
it's
me, we
still
look at the
new people coming out.
reports. Yeah, we see it.
Like, how you in default the entire pandemic? You still in default? Like, let's get you in. So we that urgency push. Okay. So we make our most money during tax season because you don't want your taxes garnished because of student loans. That was fading, right? Like, that's not happening. So I'm like, and this is why you have to have vision. And so what I did, well, I remember we were in the middle of a pandemic. I remember I was wearing like sweatpants, and that, this is unsure as fuck. Like, what is happening? I think the liquor stores was closed. I'm like thinking no wine. I'm just in there like. So what I did was I took a walk. That was my thing. I take walks, and I was kind of like a meditation walk, if you will, like thinking about what am I about to say to my team. So I came back in. I remember I showered and I put my nicest clothes on. Mind you, we in the house though, and I went live. And will I tell you, that's how I really built up my tribe and following even more. I said to them, we're gonna learn together. I'm encouraging it, and the numbers is going up. So now if I get on live and I announce it, I can get like 600 to 800 people. That is unheard of before me doing that. So you could literally go back on my page and see these lives every night at 9:00. It was like somewhere between a comedy show, some student loans, and I just was building real relationships with people. I started learning my tribe's name. I said, all right, well, we're going to do a boot camp. They started coming up to boot camp with their rollers on. And I mean, I just like was business up top and, I don't know, panties or sweats at the bottom. I don't know. And I just was teaching. And then one time I was teaching, I said, keep the camera up here, and, and I just was committed to just being who I am at heart, which is an educator. Right. And the money was coming in. I'm like, okay, I'll make a product on this. I'll make a product on that. I mean, I got these whiteboards. I'm ordering shit off Amazon. And I just kind of like, if you will, went into the lab. And I'm so grateful for the pandemic in some ways, because it really set me down and made me think about who I am as a business owner and a brand curator. And I wish that I could say that, oh, the pandemic was so horrible. For me personally, it was not. For me personally, it allowed me to do a lot of revisions on my mom's home. It allowed me to make sure the team was good. It allowed me to make the most money I've ever seen in my life. It empowered me to move. The things that happened in the pandemic is what's propelling me into my lifestyle today. And so some people that are entrepreneurs won in the pandemic and some didn't. But it was all about, how are you going to hit the present need? Well, the present need in the pandemic was motherfuckers is home and they can't go nowhere. They bored, they stressed out, they tired. So I'm like, okay, I'll give them a distraction. And then they also wanted to do something. I'm like, use it. I wanted to encourage them and empower them, like, do something with your time. And you were right on that wave with me. I feel like we had a show. Like if I'm on at 8:00, Will was on at 9, and really, this is what I'm saying. Instagram Live and things like that really took over TV, in my opinion.
It did.
Yeah. And hence the DJ, he was on a late night with the music. Right?
Yeah, DJ D Nice.
So I think that, just like we changed a lot of lives in the pandemic. And as a result, I felt like my life was changed as a result too.
Right. No, I often say that adversity, anything that you go through, whether it's a personal relationship, whether it's a business relationship, whether it's a pandemic, it really slows you down. So now you can look at the entire board. You can look at your entire field. Because a lot of times we're just running. We're just running. and not even necessarily just for a bag, but we're running because that's all we know. Because let's be honest, Sonia, a lot of us, we got into our business, and I'm not sure if this is, for you, a lot of us got into our businesses and then we started operating out of survival mode. Like this was our plan A, B, C, and D, because we knew what was on the other side, and that was not what we wanted. You mean we were sold the bag of goods of the American dream, but it was nothing that was dreamy about our living. And so so a lot of us, this was our path and being able to do so. And so those challenges and those obstacles allowed you to be able to just slow down and retool and rethink and recalibrate and do all of those things. And it's kind of almost like when a bone breaks, you allow it to heal back a lot stronger. And so you were able to come back stronger and really just kind of, I want to say, rebrand yourself, but not necessarily rebrand yourself, because everybody knows Sonia Lewis. So but moving on from there, so you got the student loan program, you started doing more digital, you moved to Miami. Like, what are some of the things that, along that journey that really stood out for you? Whether it was, good, bad, different, relationships changing and friends and all of those things. Because this is the shit that nobody talks about in business. We're just taught, don't sleep and go work hard. But we don't really get the dialogue about the shit that nobody tells you about.
The negative parts of these things.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't, and so
we're not even gonna say negative. We'll just say the
adversities.
Right, the adversities.
For me, Will, I've had a lot of professional success. A little different. Some things were a little challenging, but I would say I tried to have a really successful personal life too, with friendships and relationships. That shit ain't pan out so well, like I think I'm always enamored when I see women that appear to be killing it in business. I'm going to use appear, because everything, everybody numbers ain't the same. Appear to be successful in business, or maybe to their standard, and they're in this like loving, overflowing relationship. I do not have the secret to that just yet. I'm gonna be really transparent with you. I know what's really cool though is I have had a boyfriend or two that was really helpful and supportive. I've learned a lot about me recently. I learned that like I want to be with somebody that their love language matches mine, which is acts of service. Like I be needed like help with certain shit, not financial or anything, but like the light bulb, like the trash, the shit I'm not about to do. I'm gonna let you know. Like these is like $300 nails. I'm not about to do certain shit. Like, and I don't even want to have to ask you to do it, and then the other challenges I think women that are very successful in business don't talk about is it's like my big pussy trumps your big dick. Like my pussy bigger, like in theoretical terms. Does that make sense? Like, and I know that I have to be with a man that's comfortable in that sense, because I haven't dated a man that makes more than me yet. It might be on the way, but it's not here yet. And so it's like, okay, well, if I date this person, I think there's just like this solid understanding. And because I'm such a giver, I don't want to feel like I got to keep, not that I got to, but I'm impulsive. Like Will wanted this cashmere sweater, just grab it. Like I'm in that season, but that's not good either. That's not healthy. It shouldn't overspoil someone, but I could do that because I'm not living in a place of counting his, So that's a part of it. And then I think the other part is when you get to this level, you want to be with somebody that is for you and not because of what you can do. Like I'm fun, my lifestyle's fun, Lamborghini's fun, even my dog is fun. Like it's awesome. So like there's no theoretically, and even me personally, I'm not a headache. I'm very logical. So it's like sometimes I feel like with dating, it's almost too good to be true. And sometimes I feel like I've experienced. And then the flip of that is where I'm at now with everything is I'm living my life right now with Proverbs 8:17. Yes, I'm a cussing Christian. And basically
I think most of them are.
Well, some people, let me read this to you verbatim. Okay. So basically, the scripture is, I only love those who love me, and those who seek me will find me. And that's really how I'm living my life right now with friendships and relationships. Because I've realized we're like done a lot of shit for people that I don't care to disclose or publish online, but motherfuckers is not coming through and they ended up the deal with their friendship.
You and I could have a podcast just on that.
That's a whole podcast on that. Well, there's a perception that you're the strong person or the strong friend.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I realized when I transitioned and moved to Miami, who the fuck is calling my phone to see if I'm okay? I am literally on the tail end of the continent. Like, do you want to call and see if things are good over here? You know, did you care if there's a hurricane coming this way? Right. And so, and when it hit me, just being out here with a fresh start, being what I call like a new isolation point, it hit me like, this phone don't ring like it should, or these text messages are not coming in. And I don't want this year or next year to look like being the outbound person. And so I'm correcting a lot of those relationships. And even just like I said, back to dealing with guys, you know, I got to be very clear about what it is that I'm looking for and what it is that I need to do a better job. Women entrepreneurs may have this problem too. Telling somebody what you need them for, asking for help. Because I'm the queen of not asking for help. It's like, you should have read my mind, but that's not realistic.
I think most entrepreneurs were like that because we're so used to we started out being everything in our business. And so it's hard even for us to get to the point of learning how to delegate. Then once we learn how to delegate, then we got to learn how to ask for help. And you actually you actually gave me some advice about a year ago. You may or may not remember this. We were talking about just some things. And before I go into this, I do text you and check on you, Sonia.
Oh no, you're one of my favorite people.
Okay. We gotta let the world know that. All right, we gotta let the world know that.
Will is strong with his checkup game.
My checkup game real strong. But to that point though, like you told me about, hey, Will, you should start reaching out and asking for more favors because you've done so much for many people.
Yes, I remember that conversation.
And you told me to go get the book, The Big Ask.
Yes, the Cinder Cross. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and so I appreciate that because I will sit there and drown and it may not say nothing because I'm so used to doing. I mean, I'm the oldest of three. You know, I've pretty much been on my own since I was 17. I moved to Las Vegas knowing nobody, slept in my car. So I've just been so accustomed to doing everything by myself. And it's hard. And sometimes we have pride because we're like, oh, I'll do this shit myself. I'll figure it out on my own. And it's almost kind of like an ego thing too. Like how have you been learning to work on, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to take help. Is that something that you still have to work on, or you've kind of maneuvered through that feeling already?
I'm actively this year really asking for help. Okay. If you're in my life, if we're dating, I'm going to ask for, again, it's probably never going to be financially, just being honest, it's just never built like that. And I have such a crazy, savings and investment because I don't ever want to ask, and I'm actually planning for you to ask, not you, but people like,
I know what you're saying. Hey, but now that you put it out there, I might ask. So just put something aside for me, Sonia.
Right. I mean, for my mom, I could say this, and this is close caption, my mom's stuff. I plan for my mom to ask me every month for something, even though I've already paid X, Y, and Z for her. Right. And it could A, raise my blood pressure because I'm annoyed, or B, let's just make this the Janet fund. To be really honest. And once I started living like that, it's fine. And then there's this other thing that I'm living my life by these days, a mantra that says, appreciate everything, expect nothing. Appreciate everything, expect nothing. So I literally have no expectations from people. Yeah. I'm moving into that season. Yeah. I'm still working on it, but I'm moving in that season. Whereas it's like, if you said to me, hey, Sonia, I really want to get together with you and I want to take you out, I'm going to let you know. I appreciate you saying that, Will, and I just love it. I look forward to seeing you. I would not hang up that phone expecting you to actually hit me back.
Right.
But if you did, and we really genuinely had hung out, I would appreciate it. And I would just be so over grateful. You would probably think I was weird or something. So I'm being so appreciative of everything, but I'm expecting nothing. And like that, for me, it's been like a big shift in my personal life, because the thing is, and this goes back to the 4 agreements, like I can't take shit personal. You know what I mean? Like if something's happening with you, something's happening with this person and I don't know, but I internalize it like, Will don't call me, he don't text me, that's weird. I'm projecting my shit onto you, and you could be having a lot of things happening in your life.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm just at a place where, like, with all these things, with these relationships, friendships, I'm putting myself in a position to be more accountable, more self-reliant, and I'm going to ask for help. Let me be clear, but I don't expect you to do it. I don't know, that sounds kind of weird.
No, it makes perfect sense. And to your point as well, that's one of the reasons why I do reach out to people, because we really don't know, like somebody could be dying and we would never know, especially like with brands like ours. Like we have teams that run our social media.
She just can keep going.
It can keep going. And so a person can be in a hospital and you won't know. And that's why even when I reach out to people, I'll say, hey, how are you feeling? Sometimes, especially with my Black men, I always ask, hey, how is your mental health? Because
that's my favorite question. How's your mental health?
Because nobody asks us these questions. And then a lot of times our responses are so canned. I'm fine. Hey, let's unpack that. You know what I'm saying? And so I do at least my best. I don't get to everybody, but I don't have a huge circle. I've actually, shrank, people who have access to me, because it is draining, especially when, what we do for a living is giving ourselves to the world. I mean, our lives are kind of like an open book because we have to do so much, and then we show our life in order for people to feel inspired. Yes.
This is good. This is for anyone listening that's a friend of an entrepreneur, maybe an entrepreneur. Because we live our lives on a stage, motherfuckers think they know what's really going on with you. But the thing is, you don't know what's going on with me. I could post the cutest picture because I know I'm going somewhere with a marketing campaign, and that might satisfy your need to reach out to me and to just check on me as your friend. And I've literally had to say to people, you may want to take this. I have to say to people, I'm thinking of you. I'm hoping all is well. And I just want to know if we're still, how did I word it to my one friend? If you are still interested in being one of my closest friends. Think about the last time you asked somebody, are they still interested in being one of your closest friends? Wow. You probably haven't. Like, that's some weird shit. Like, I know it sounds weird, right?
No, it's not weird. Again, I think it's really just us changing the dialogue of how we dialogue with people, because here's the other part to that, Sonia, and I love that message. Like, we don't know how our words can directly or indirectly save somebody's life. You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody could be going through something so traumatic and then just getting a message like that, because they may think, oh, Sonia has this new life. She doesn't even care about me anymore. So sometimes even those messages indirectly can impact someone to where now they feel warm and fuzzy. Because here's the thing that I'm vastly learning. People care about the feelings is really the biggest thing that we really nurture, people's feelings. Anytime you're talking to someone and it's like and it gets heated, what's the first thing they're going to say when they're proving their point?
I just feel like
I feel. And so when we learn to tap into people, it's really their feelings that they're more concerned about. And so as long as they know, hey, Sonia cares about me, she sent me this message, that can do wonders for somebody in that, in how they're feeling or what they're going through. And a lot of things that I do is because, like, I could be having a bad day, but I'll send that message to somebody, because I'm like, okay, if I'm going through something, maybe this person is going through something, let me send them a message. And that's really why I do it, so that's kind of my secret.
Oh, Will, do you do this? If you don't, I'll give you this exercise. It's not too late to do it.
Okay.
Still in the newer part of the year. Every year I write down my closest friends and associates.
Right.
And I put an X by their name or a check. Now, obviously you got to check by your name. But I really do that because, no, I know it sounds weird, but visually I need to look and I need to think about, like, is Will been silent? Did he do some function? Because when I think about opportunities, or when I think about what relationships I want to nurture,
that matters.
Or if you say, "Son, I need you to fly out," your ass got an X next to it. I'm making up something. I can't do it.
Right.
But I've already said for this year, unless something dressing, I mean, you're solid. And I know it sounds really weird, but that exercise I've been doing for over like the last, I'm say like 8 years, has been so helpful to me with me understanding who's the priority in my life and who's not.
Right.
And I would implore you to think about it if you ever have time to do it. And if you really genuinely can't put an X or a check mark next to somebody, put a question mark. And that means you got to get up and pick up the phone or send a text. I would say phone if you could, and really talk and get a feel for where they're at. Because
Right.
your brain's unsure about something.
Yeah.
But them X's, let them fall to the wayside. I ain't say you got to cut them off indefinitely, but they may not be in this year with you, in this season with you.
Well, I will say this. It wasn't necessarily that exercise, but I do like that, and I'm going to adopt that because it is visual. But I can definitely tell you a lot of numbers are no longer in my phone.
You
Like that,
block or
I know. Oh, delete. My delete game is nice. Because I only got to hit one button.
So here's the thing. It's so funny. I've never deleted a phone number in my life. You know how I know this to be true?
Oh.
I was scrolling and it was this guy like from like 15 years ago. His number is maybe old. Right. His name and number still. I'm like, why is he in why did iPhone take this over all these years? Yeah. So
yeah, my delete game nice. I don't even want the energy of the spelling of the name in my phone.
Oh shit. But you know what? That's why you're successful with some things that I'm still mastering. But yeah, no, for sure.
Definitely. No, it's definitely a work in progress. So what's next for Sonia Lewis? I know you got a lot of dope things going on. You in Miami. I mean, like just like
when are you coming to Miami? That's the real question.
I'm coming because I need I need to get some sun and sit on the beach or somewhere. But no, I'm definitely coming out there because we owe each other a lunch or something. We've been talking about putting together something forever.
I have the best relationships out here. And so the way my life is, Will, I'm going to say this very humbly.
Right.
I don't even put half the shit on social media that really occurs out here. Like the way that favor is set up out here and my connections and relationships, I'm eating at like 5-star restaurants, totally free. The chef is coming out. I'm like, whose life is this? And I don't even want to put that stuff.
But you put the work in for it too. So let's not get that twisted, or people who watch this.
It's being solid and not being tight with people. Like I met somebody out here. I was like, oh, all you gotta do. I was like, it's boom, boom, boom. I think it was something related to their Dun & Bradstreet score. They asked me a question. I'm like, oh, all you gotta do is, and they did it. And then they hit me up like, listen, I want to put you and set you up with. And I'm like, but that's how Miami works out here. Yeah. It is a true bartering system. I've never seen anything like it out here. And never undervalue anybody's position. The fucking server may have more clout than the person at the door. Like I've never seen anything like this before out here.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. So with all of that going on, the relationships, the fanfare, because I know your groupies have changed. What's next for Sonia Lewis?
My groupies are actually very handsome. They've changed to men. I had more women groupies at one. Now I'm getting all type of men groupies. I'm like, where's the ebook for how you handle this? I'm like, are you gonna buy this book or not? Or like they'll send me a screenshot like, I bought 10 of your books and I just want you to know. I'm like, this is just the new way. Well, what did somebody say? Oh, this is a good one. The message I got last week was, how much is your day? How much does your day cost?
Oh, wow.
And plus a first class ticket to the city. I'm like, what? I'm like, so if I gave you a real number plus a first class, see, that's how you get a trigger. Well, I want to live this life, I was like, you know what? Let me close this message out today.
Right.
So what's next? So our digital brand is really growing. I got digital products and courses. You're going to see a lot more advertising and marketing around that. We are actually kicking off what we call business in a box. So we're teaching credit repair companies, tax return companies, real estate agents. We're teaching them how to have a student loan doctor segment, if you will, in their business, so they can help people with student loan debt when student loan repayment starts. So we're literally transitioning our model from helping customers to going business to business.
B2B, absolutely.
B2B. So you can have an in-house student loan company. We'll train them, teach them, whoever you have or hire. And then, yeah, and then what we're looking, because we're not changing our brand, we're looking to be more of a lead source. So for example, let's say we taught your team how to do student loans like we do, then we're no longer doing it, but you're one of our referring partners, right? And then the next thing would be, I'm still doing workshops and classes. And then those people that are interested in coming in as genuinely like real leads, warm leads, are going to be transitioned to our partners.
Yeah.
And
No,
so I'm really looking forward to that model. My background is in sales and recruiting. So this is my love language, leads generation. And so I want to get back to my sweet spot that makes me just like elated. I would love to be able to say statistically, we referred over 500 clients to our partners. Like those are the metrics I want to start doing and working with our team. Does that sound really audacious to you? It makes me like tickle pink when I talk about it out loud.
I mean, hey, you already know I think big.
Yeah.
So no, that's
so it's gonna be good.
Absolutely. No, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So we're gonna go from being the servicer to the lead provider, if you will. And so we already have about 10 partners. We're gonna look to take on about 20 more. And then I think the price for us to do is, I think we settled at about 10,000 to teach somebody this stuff.
Right.
Over like, I think it's a 4-month program.
Okay.
And then we'll get into lead generation come closer to December months, because that's when things start to pick up. So anyway, it's gonna be good. I'm looking forward to it. Makes me jump for joy, and that's where our business will stay. And I want to be more the authority and the expert on the topic, but the service piece I want to phase out of, because I think it'll allow me to be more creative with the things I want to do and the different business endeavors. So yeah.
Right. And speaking of B2B, definitely want to talk with you offline. I have some that I think we could partner on that would be good for your community. Excuse me, why it's at the top of mind. And so as we wrap up, Sonia, and again, thank you. I never want to take your time for granted, but for those who are out there who are in some student loan debt, they may not know what to do. They don't know what's going on. They're in default. Like, what are some of, just give someone maybe 2 to 3 tips that they can do, especially if they don't necessarily have the means to hire a professional like yourself. Like, what are some of the things that people can at least start on their own?
So if they're not sure, they should always go to studentaid.gov and just take a look and create a free account to see what's happening with their student loans. Everyone needs to check and understand what lender their loans have been transitioned to or who they're with. They also need to see that if they are in default, call the Department of Education and get set up with the collection agency in terms of a payment agreement, a payment arrangement, and get yourself out of default before student loans start back up. And then the last thing would be, I tell people our mantra is, you do not have a student loan problem, you have a streams of income problem. So right now, while you're not being pressured to make a payment, find a way, tap into what we're doing, what you're doing, bring in some extra money. You would not talk to me about a monthly student loan problem if you had that amount extra coming in. So get a new vehicle, new stream vehicle. Like for example, if you wanted to start, selling digital products, do Turo, Airbnb, things you talk about as well. And then attach that income to your student loan payment. And let's get this wrapped up. Let's treat it like it's a really nice car and get rid of it. So that's what we're working on, and that's what we suggest people do. People will work with us and tap into us if they want that extra accountability and support, but we're not doing anything, super magical, but we are being consistent, and we are being accountable in terms of being a community to see some radical changes. So I'm really happy. My students have been doing really well with things like Airbnb and Turo. A lot of my students from the fall have already brought in over $40,000 in Turo money. So it literally is eliminating a student loan in itself. So we're really, really excited about the vision that we have and the plan that we're making for people. So it's just all good stuff. And it's a weird topic to have championed, but I'm grateful that God gave me the insight to do it. So it's been good.
No, absolutely. And so my last question for Sonia Lewis. What's one thing that if you look back at your entire career that now that you would tell Sonia from back then, over 9 years ago?
One thing.
Or if you have 2, you can share 2.
I don't I would wish I could tell myself in the beginning to just really enjoy every part of the journey. There was a lot of stress I had on me in the first few years of entrepreneurship because of the uncertainty and unsureness. But one thing about it, this place where I'm at in my life is one thing is I'm very sure about me, and I'm very sure that I won't let myself quit. And the thing is, I've always been a go-getter. Like, Will, I was at age 9 creating fake rides and selling them for $1. I would get a pile of leaves, a plastic chair, and a rope, and go, ooh, and pay me my $1 so I could have my allowance. So like I always went to go get some money. Like I had more money. I remember one time, Will, that my mom had before she got paid again.
Wow.
Like my mom was like, oh God, I just need $20. Like, and my mom wasn't broke. She had bad spending habits. Right. But I was like, you need 20? I was like, hold on. I remember going to go give her a 20.
Wow.
She thought, Will, that I stole it from her purse. I had to explain to her, she didn't know about my hustle. I had to explain to her my hustle. I had to walk her to my pile of leaves, and under the leaves was the rope. Like, this is a real thing. I used to take the chair off the patio. She was like, who the fuck? Like, and I had to say to her, like, oh no, Mom, this is what I've been doing. I just didn't tell you because I didn't want you to say that I couldn't do it anymore. And I think we had a new level of respect for each other at that point. But anyway, I've always had the ability to grind and hustle. And it's just not like if I can, but when I can. And so for me, I just would have reminded myself of that earlier, like, girl, you've been getting to it. And you just now know how to really get it at a bigger capacity. Right. But I would have reminded myself of that and saved myself some stress a long time ago.
Well, we definitely appreciate that. Thank you for taking us on this journey of Sonia Lewis over, your career. Again, as I'm always championing and I'm always bragging on you to people, just like I say, just it's always dope because you don't get a lot of people that stick things out. And no matter, and despite what you may have went through, whether it was personal or business, you stuck it out, and now you're just a vessel. Well, not just a vessel, you're a vessel for other people and inspiring them and letting them know that anything is possible, and so I definitely appreciate you for that. And so, family, I appreciate you guys. Make sure y'all go follow my sister, Sonia Lewis, the student loan doctor, across all platforms. Just Google her. She'll come up. Trust me. I promise you.
Thank you.
And so until then, you are tuned in to the Full-Time CEO podcast, The Shit They Don't Tell You, where I interview influential individuals, influencers, businessmen, businesswomen, iconic individuals, and moguls. And Sonia is definitely a mogul in her own right in this space. So again, I appreciate you guys, and I will see you at the top. Peace.